welcome to Two Dumb Dads. I'm Chris, and this is our second adventure in dadding, kind of special episode for April 5th. April 6th. It's Saturday now. So, this week you're going to be getting a little bit of Nick. You're going to be getting something from his point of view. For now, I guess just kind of sit back, relax, and tune in next week for our discussion of his thoughts. All right, here we go.
Hey y'all, so here is my adventure in dadding this week. So there's been a lot going on. It's funny because I noticed that, the first thing is, I'm noticing that Miles is hitting another round of learning new words, which is really cool because you see him learning and trying new words every day. And I've noticed that as this use in words jumps, right, he becomes a little more crabby when he can't find the word he is looking for. So he tends to have more not tantrums, but whiny tantrums. And it's interesting that I notice these things spike when he's having a large word usage. So it's cool as a dad to think about how he tries to find these words for the things he wants, and then he doesn't always have it. And then, so of course, the default then is to whine or cry because that's kind of the learned response, right? But it is interesting to watch him, as a parent, work through the best way to get what he wants or needs, either by finding that word or by trying different tactics. So what I mean by tactics, the other thing he's been doing, which is really cool and kind of this jump, is his fight of going to bed. So he's still really good most of the time once he goes to bed, which he has been since we slept train. But he doesn't always want to actually go to bed. So Miles is not the snuggliest kid. He likes to snuggle, but he's more on the go all the time than to want to be held or snuggle. And this has been kind of how it's been since he could crawl and walk. Especially Sarah really loves it when he does snuggle. So do I. But so now what he'll do, because he knows this, is when it comes to bedtime and I tell him, hey, we have to go to bed, he actually goes, snuggle, and crawls up and snuggles Sarah, which is so funny because it's a perfect example of him learning that word, learning what it means, learning the action, and then changing tactics to try to get out of going to bed. So instead of crying or whining, he just does this because he knows that we'll let him do it, which is hilarious. And then, of course, when we're 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and when that's up, he goes back to trying to kind of whine his way out of it, which then doesn't work. But it's still watching him learn to change tactics, which is one of my favorite things about being a dad right now, is watching him figure out different ways to achieve the goal that he's looking for. Because I think it's something that we don't always think about how we do it, but you can really watch kids figure it out. And because he's in the early stages of figuring this out, it's super obvious. So it's just a cool thing that I've been noticing that I really like. So aside from that, the other thing that's happened this week is Miles got sick. He got a cold and a fever. It was 102-degree fever, which then spread through our house like wildfire, including me and Sarah. But that's not really what I want to talk about, because that was pretty normal. He had a fever, it broke the next day, he had a cough and sneezing, and he was home with me for 3 days where we had to stay inside, which of course he got super stir crazy, because he just wanted to go and do something besides be in the house. But what I noticed was, as parents, we do something that I don't know if it's good or it's bad. It's just something that I noticed. So when he's sick, which I think a lot of parents do, you try to give him things that will comfort him, right? And I think every parent does that for a kid. Whatever they need to make them feel better, you try to do, because they can't express what they need and you want them to just be comfortable. So for Miles, that, one thing is just all the yogurt he could possibly eat, because he loves fucking yogurt, and that's the battle for food right now. But also his pacifier. So we have really cut back on his pacifier. He only really gets it 3 times. When he naps, when he goes to bed, and when he goes to the daycare at the gym. And so, because we've been trying to pull back in anticipation that we're going to try to eliminate the pacifier either over my spring break or over summer, probably summer. Basically when I can afford to not have to sleep, because I know I'm going to be up with him a lot, where I can not have to get up in the morning. And summers, that is the most reasonable time to do that, because on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I could sleep during the day if I was up all night. But I noticed we gave this to him a lot, and I started thinking about the problems with that in general. So if you're trying to eliminate a behavior, right? So in this case, the pacifier, helping him learn to self-soothe without it, even more so where he doesn't need it anymore. But wanting to give him this thing while he's sick, and how do you deal with that? Because you don't want to deny him this thing that makes him comfortable while he's sick. And so how do you do this? And it's a real challenge because I don't know if you're doing the right thing or if you're doing something counterproductive by giving him, in this case, the pacifier, even though he's sick. So I don't know. I went back and forth on this a lot because then what happens is then he wants it, and when you don't give it to him, he doesn't quite understand why he got it now, why he got it then, and why he isn't getting it now. And so I don't really know how to combat that because it's like anything when a kid's sick. You know, if a kid's sick and they want a certain type of food, you tend to give it to them so they'll eat. Or, you know, if there's something that they really want that they wouldn't normally get all the time. And so how do you do that? And I'm sure this digs into a lot of things. Like, you know, Sarah and I talk about, like, he doesn't really eat candy, but we'll give it to him because we just want him to try and experience more foods, even if one of those foods is candy. But then what happens when you don't give it to him all the time? Because I'm really big on I don't want him to have candy all the time. I don't want him to be a kid that's obsessed with candy, and we have that right now. But I'm sure that's going to change. And how do we avoid that trap? Because I don't want him to have some of the weight issues that I had when I was a kid. And one of the ways to avoid that is things like candy and etc. But I also know that if it's something that will make him happy, especially when he's sick, I'll probably give it to him. And I feel like we're just in that realm and I don't know quite how to deal with it. So anyway, that's my adventure in dadding for this week is, you know, sick kid and giving him things that we're trying to eliminate or not eliminate. Well, in this case, eliminate, but cut back on. And does that set a precedent down the road for other things that we may not want to indulge in all the time? I don't know. Maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe it's not a big issue. And I'm just like going way too far down this rabbit hole. And it just is what it is to make your sick kid happy. But it's one of those parenting things that I worry can become a bigger deal, especially as he gets older and, you know, has more of an understanding. You know, how do you make your kid feel as comfortable as possible when they don't feel well or when something's going on, and what's the right way to do that? Anyway, that's my adventure this week. Yeah. All right. Later.
All right. And there you have it. As always, you can follow us at 2_dumb_dads on Twitter. You can find us at our Facebook group, 2dumbdads. You can find us on 2dumbdads.com. You can, of course, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts about some of Nick's problems with being sick and pacifiers and all that kind of stuff, feel free to email us at emails@, 2dumbdads.com. That's emails at the number 2dumbdads.com. And of course, until next time, be well. Wait, what's that, Thea? Come on, I'm going to get you in this microphone one of these days.